Stanislaus Local Agency Formation Commission is now in session. Today is Wednesday, May 24th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Introduction of Commissioner and staff will start to my right.
How you doing? Mayor Javier Lopez.
Bill Berryhill, community member and alternate.
Terry Withrow, County member.
Richard O'Brien, Chair and City Member.
Vito Chiesa, Stanislaus County member.
Amy Bublak, City Member.
Ken Lane, public member.
Jennifer Vieira, Commission Clerk.
Rob Terrell, LAFCO Council.
Sarah Little-Penny, Executive Officer.
Javier Camarena, Assistant Executive Officer.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have public comments that are from the public that are not listed. Excuse me. Start that again. At this time, we'll have public comments on subject matters not on the agenda and in the subject matter jurisdiction of this commission. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes talk. No action will be taken by the commission as a result of any items presented tonight. Do we have any? Oh, we do. Milt Trey Welling. Trey Welling. Irv.
Good evening, Commissioners. I am a lifetime Stanislaus County resident. My name is Milton Treeweiler. I'm going to talk about the most important resource we have in Stanislaus County. I started college at Modesto Junior College in 1963. The population of Modesto was 40,000, and the land on Briggsmore was all, beyond north of Briggsmore, was all farmland except for Shakey's Pizza on McHenry. We're living on the best farmland in the world, and the wisest choice we can make for humanity is to preserve our farmland. The planet we live on is finite in size. It is basically the same size it was 300,000 years ago. If we're going to get more, we are not going to get more farmland on this earth. Sadly, we are losing farmland at a alarming rate because of population growth and climate change. It is very wise for all the cities in Stanislaus County to build up and not out over the farmland surrounding our cities. Stanislaus County is the only county in the valley that has plenty of irrigation water for the next 100 years. Modesto and Turlock irrigation districts already have planned and are constructing the infrastructure to implement it. Once farmland is built on, it can never be recovered. And the fact and reality is all cities in Stanislaus County need to preserve this prime farmland. The proposed Riverwalk project would remove an additional 2.4 square miles of prime farmland. This area's existing Stanislaus County zoning designation of the project area is A2, General Agriculture. This general agricultural A2 zone supports and enhances agriculture as the predominant land use in this county. This district regulation is intended to protect open space lands pursuant to Government Code Section 65910. I have been to 48 states in the United States, and I've been to Europe 3 times. I have never found better farmland in the world and in the States because there isn't any better farmland. If people want to build, I have no opposition to building. We have 2 choices, build up or build on the I-5 corridor. Thank you.
Jamie Eggers.
Good evening, Jamie Eggers, 7730 McHenry Avenue. I live within the project area of the proposed Riverwalk specific plan. You've heard from me several times over the past 2 years since the notice of preparation came out. I'm here to share with you this evening that over the past month, several of us concerned citizens have been working on an urban limit initiative. We kicked off that initiative today by turning in our notice of intent to circulate for petitions. And so we're hopeful of getting that on Riverbank's November 2024 ballot, and to put the decision-making in the hands of the Riverbank residents about how and where the city grows on its western boundary. So if this matter comes before you in the meantime, we urge you to vote no on the Riverwalk project. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll move forward to correspondence.
Yes, the commission has one additional piece of correspondence tonight, an email dated May 21st, 2023 from Voters for Farmland. And that's all.
Thank you. Consent items. We have minutes from April 26, 2023, and a legislative update and proposition letter. Do we have any comments, or do we have consideration?
Move to accept.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Public hearing. Out-of-boundary service application, 1224 Kernan Avenue, City of Modesto Water Service.
Good evening, Javier Camarena with LAFCO. The item we're discussing this evening is a out-of-boundary service application from the City of Modesto to provide water service to 1224 Kernan Avenue. That site is located at the southeast corner of the Kernan Avenue and Tully Road intersection. The water service will provide water for a proposed 300,000 square foot industrial building. Stanislaus County recently approved a general plan and rezone for that site to allow the 300,000 square foot building, which will provide warehousing, or excuse me, a building for light industrial uses in on that parcel. A similar request for water was considered by the LAFCO Commission in 2015 for the Holy Family Church, just south of the proposed site. You can see on this map, the current site is in red, and the Holy Family Church is in yellow, so you can just kind of see where, in relation to that property that is. The proposed connection will be to a water main line that is located in Tully Road. Government code explains that the City of Modesto must obtain LAFCO approval prior to providing services outside of its boundary. And although annexation to the city is preferred, there are certain situations where an out-of-boundary service extension is more appropriate. Commission Policy 15C describes a variety of situations where the commission may favorably consider a service extension, and one of those situations that is explained in Policy 15C is that there's a lack of contiguity that makes annexation infeasible given current boundaries, and the requested public services is justified based on adopted land use plans or other entitlements for use. Staff's recommendation, staff believes that the project is consistent with the Commission Policy 15 and state law, and a discussion of these items can be found on pages 2 and 3 of the staff report. At this time, annexation is premature and would be better served with an out-of-boundary service extension. Staff's recommendation can be found on page 3 of the staff report, which recommends approval of the out-of-boundary service request. Any additional connections outside of that project site would require additional LAFCO approval. That is the conclusion of my presentation, and staff's available for questions.
Thank you. Are there any commissioners' questions prior to open hearing? Seeing none. This is a public hearing. Any comments on this item?
Milt Treeweiler. I have one question for the staff. When this project goes in, if it is voted for, who is responsible for paying for that line that goes from City of Modesto to that warehousing facility? Is that the warehousing facility, or is the City of Modesto responsible for paying for that line? That's my question. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, I close public hearing. Sarah, would you like to respond?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, that would be paid for by the developer of the property. They pay for all the connections and work that's to be completed.
They're pretty far along too, right?
I've driven out there, staff's driven out there, and I think they've definitely done some work out there. When I drove by, they hadn't started construction yet, but I think they were doing quite a bit of ground
Okay.
moving out there already.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions, considerations? Recommendations?
I'd like to move this item. Motion to approve.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. 5-0. Final LAFCO budget for fiscal year 2023-24. Is this Sarah?
Yes.
Let me get that up for you.
So this is in continuation from our last meeting when the commission approved the proposed budget for 2023-2024. During that hearing, I kind of given a heads up to the commission that there might be a minor adjustment needed. And this final budget includes that adjustment for a total increase of $7,200. There's also been a minor adjustment to the general fund reserve to maintain its 15% level. So this is an outline of the adjustments. The first was to retirement. It's an increase of $3,200. That's just based on the information that we received from Stanislaus shortly after the adoption of the proposed budget. And then we also had an increase to our legal services budget, and that was to cover the increases to weighted labor rates that were an estimate for fiscal year 23-24. In doing that, we've made an adjustment from fund balance for a minor increase of $1,000 just to keep our general fund reserve at 15%. And here's where those adjustments hit, and this is proposed as compared to final, and then also the impact to agency contributions, which will be split between the county and the 9 cities. And with that, the staff's recommendation is to adopt Resolution 2023-06 to approve the final budget. You'll direct staff to provide notice to the funding agencies of their portion, and then request that the county auditor apportion and collect the net operating expenses. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Are there any questions of Sarah?
Minor adjustments.
Rob, did you increase your rates? Was that what happened?
I think the county did. Our
Oh.
answer to that is the county did.
I see, okay.
Such an attorney.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Minutes.
This is a public hearing. Any public comments, inputs? Seeing none, I close public comments. Bring it back for consideration. Recommendation.
I'll make a motion, we approve staff recommendations.
I second. We have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. All right, ad hoc advisory committee update. Sarah, do you want to take that?
I've just included a short memo in your packet, and it's got an attached letter from the County Chief Executive Office, Human Relations Division, regarding the meeting that the ad hoc committee had. But the ad hoc committee, if they want to give a verbal report on it, that's fine. At the end of the day, the CEO, HR department recommended basically the same recommendation that they had earlier. We just discussed it out. They went back and looked at the numbers and had the same recommendation.
Okay. This will still be ongoing through the remainder of this fiscal year or calendar year. Are they going to revisit positions?
So from what they've told us is that they look at department head salaries annually, and we would be included in that.
Okay. I would recommend to this commission that as discussions happen, that we take a look at a unique position for you, and whether it has additional benefits is beyond, but most, that you have a unique position that no one else in this county has. And I believe that we need to look at the manner in which you're observed by others within the county. Because you don't work for the county, yet you are part of the county. So if we can carve out a unique position that the county can just say, okay, this is what they want, the commission wants, they have to make sure that we take care of you the way that we should in the future. That's my opinion. And this won't happen until probably next year. But keep that in mind when we're doing the budget for the next year.
And I'll just comment about the process, just to make sure everyone understands the process. The county, we have allied agencies that utilize our HR. It would be 911 operations, animal shelter, I'm trying to think. Stanislaus LAFCO. And Sarah was not treated as a department head. The only person in charge of one of the organizations that wasn't treated as a department head. I think that started the discussion originally. So they went back, we'd sent them back. They came up with doing comparables with our 8 valley counties, or our 8 comparable counties. They're not all valley counties. The same way we've done it with everything. This is much like StanCog, and some of us sit on StanCog, where it's unique because not every county treats their LAFCO executive director the same. Sometimes they do transit. In Merced's case, they have the landfill underneath. And so you're trying to put apples and oranges and try and compare them as best you can. LAFCO has that same issue on our 8 comparable. There are a couple of counties that contract out, that do things differently than we do in Stanislaus County. So we've been trying to go through those machinations, whatever. I'm always afraid I'm going to say a bad word when I come up with my own word like that. But it was difficult, so we came up with something that I think for the time being works. We have to look, because once a year, right, some people are in their raise cycle, they might have just gotten a raise. So it evens out over time when you do your studies continually year by year. And, it's not perfect, but it was what I was looking for as far as a department head status. We have different tiers of department heads. So where they fell in the tier, the county HR does it based on responsibilities. So this is where they felt. I didn't want to upset the apple cart. We had this discussion, Richard and I did, about, this is the way we've done it. We can always step out. Sarah stepped outside of the executive director, and how they pay it didn't come under the same auspices of the 8 valley counties using their averages, 8 county average. So, it's up to us as a board, and later if we determine to change this, we can definitely do it. But right now, we're still using the county's guidelines for Sarah's pay, or the executive director pay. So.
And I want to thank Sarah for your patience, Rob, and
Yes.
Vito for the inputs. And it wasn't as productive as I thought it could have been. And I thought it was going to change at the end of the ad hoc committee, but they stuck to their guns. So, again, thank you for your patience on that. Anybody have any questions, inputs?
Are these board comments or just on this side?
No, just on this. I'm not down to number 8 yet. Seeing none, we're going to move on to commissioner comments.
I wanted to ask what I think is maybe a silly question, but do we track where people are in their general plan update, specifically housing? Do you track each city and where they are in the county? Or, because everyone's in a different time cycle, and some people have land inventory, some don't, but do we track that?
Loosely.
Loosely, okay. What made me think about it is Supervisor Withrow and I are on our general plan update, and we're doing the housing element. And it is one of the most difficult situations because we always use Salida, we have for many years, as a part of our RENA numbers. And because there's no movement there, right, you can't continue to claim that you're going to build there. And so now we're down to the granular level with overheads in communities like Denair for infill projects and trying to come up with zonings, potentially overlaying zonings, and it's just been extremely tedious, and I don't know that we're there. It looks like we're there, but that takes folks agreeing to not fight the system. And so anyways, I don't know if other folks are running into this or if it's just a county problem. We do have Measure E, which we think is not a bad thing. That's the no growth initiative that wasn't already zoned pre-2014, I think it passed. I'm so bad with years now.
2007.
17.
2007.
707.
Was it that?
It was way back, yeah.
I guess so, yes.
Remember Salida Community Lane got
I
in
think
just before the.
Major E, you're right. And so now the county is going to really struggle. We can take in land, that's one of the things that's written in if we can't meet our RENA numbers. But it's becoming so challenging and very costly with the amount of staff time trying to locate parcels. And there's just not that many parcels left for infill. So, and Denair is, I think they've about had it. We've got about 5 subdivisions that are going to clean out most of the space that they have left. So now it's only infill.
So it'd be good to see what all the other cities,
I'm
what they
looking
look
for,
like.
I don't like reinventing the wheel. I love to see and hear, but again, it's such an in-depth conversation. And not that I want you to do any more work, but I guess I'm just asking out loud.
Yeah, and it might even require some horse trading with some cities, right? I mean, we've talked about that a little bit, about maybe taking on.
That must be right.
Taking on somebody else's, one person or one agency taking on another agency's numbers in exchange,
It's going to be tough for everyone.
General plan updates I know when we did ours and finished, I think, in 18, big undertakings. I mean, you cannot make everybody completely happy, and you just can't, right? But you still got to fulfill that need, right? You try the best you can, but that's a huge undertaking. It truly is. And, I think we spent, I can't tell you how many public meetings. You guys did the same thing. I mean, it's just over and over to hash through it all, but when you want to give and take from other cities, and you got these cities that have done their general plan updates and they haven't got anything really to give, there's that too, so.
A lot of the oversight for housing elements, HCD.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that gave you the RENA numbers. They gave it for an area. So, for example, we got the RENA numbers for Stanislaus County, and I believe that was broken down further through VVSS, SCS, and Stancock is how those were disseminated. And now you can control those numbers if you decide, I can't meet it, but we still have to meet it within the county. How can we establish the proper numbers?
Yeah.
So think of it that way. We're redoing our general plan, but I still have to do a housing element, which I believe just got approved by HCD, and I have to do that on every 4 years, I believe, and that's what you have to do every 4 years. So there is probably some negotiations to be had from cities. We won't call it what she might refer to as something illegal.
Yeah.
Okay, any other commissioner comments? Executive officers report.
Yes. So we are recommending cancellation of June's meeting. We do not have any public hearings scheduled. So that would make our next meeting July 26th. And then just as a heads up for the commission, we received some final documentation from City of Patterson. They had submitted an application for an annexation, and we were waiting for some items to make it complete. It is now complete, so we will be referring that out soon. And when we do so, given the large number of documents involved, we'll be sending a memo to the commission to let them know of the availability so that you have plenty of time to review it before it actually comes to the commission.
Thank you.
That's all I
So
have.
you said it's July what is our next meeting?
July 26th.
Okay. We will adjourn. Our next meeting is July 26th, 2023. This meeting is now adjourned.